Hey guys, Brian here from the Star Wars Canon Podcast. Hey, I wanted to make a video real quick, very informally, I guess you could say. Uh, on my last live stream on Saturday night, I let you guys know that I was trying to come up with a way to show you kind of what the mobile app was looking like so far. It's something I've been talking about for several months, and there's only been a few people that have really gotten a chance to look at it and kind of play with it a little bit and kind of tell me what they thought of it. So I figured that because we're getting so close to being released and we're almost done with this thing, I thought maybe that I would put together a little bit of a video real quick, kind of showing you guys what it was looking like so far, kind of the features it was going to have, kind of what you could expect out of it. Now, before I show you guys some of this stuff, I want you to know that it is still not finished. It could still change the way it looks. It could still change some of the ways that it's laid out, some of the I don't want to say the features because the features are pretty much locked in. But I know there's a lot of stuff missing on it still. I shouldn't say a lot, but there's a handful of stuff missing from it still. But that is getting put in today. So I thought I'd sit down and just kind of go through this with you guys and show you a little bit of it. Okay, so I know that it still says Star Wars Canon Podcast on it, and it's going to be the Star Wars Canon mobile app. So I still have some logos to change, and there's some icons that aren't finished. So it's very rough looking right now. But I wanted to get all the information in it and get that part of it done before start trying to fine tune what it looks like and everything like that. So, putting icons together is easy. Making it look good is easy. It's just getting all the information into this thing is so tedious because there's so much stuff in here. I'll show you guys here in a minute what I'm talking about, and you'll see what I mean when I say this is just tedious as hell. So, let's get into this. Let's see here. I want to see if I can show you guys kind of what that's going to look like. I can probably throw it on the screen afterwards. Excuse me. All right, so this is the home screen of the app for right now. This is what it looks like as of this moment. And keep in mind also while I'm showing you this is inside of a web browser, so it's not going to actually be kind of the format of what it's going to look like on your phone. It'll take a little bit of time for each page to load. And the aspect ratio is a little different, but once it's in mobile app form, it'll just instantly load and it'll be in the right aspect to a phone. So keep that in mind because I look it up on my phone all the time and it looks way different on there than it does on here. So I have a previewer on my phone that I can look at it with. So this is the homepage of the Star Wars Canon mobile app as of right now. You see we've got a list of stuff here: Star Wars Canon Podcast, Canon Timeline, Purchase Canon Community, and Share App. Now the Share App, I'll just get that one out of the way real quick. Share App page is just a little page with a QR code on it. Nothing big. It's just something to kind of help you. Hey, if you have a friend that wants to check out the app, and instead of them trying to look it up, you can just pull up the QR code and they can scan that and pull up the link to the app where they can download it themselves. The community page is going to be something that I really think would be a great thing for this app. It's basically a Facebook feed. What I mean by that is you can type in posts, you can post pictures of what you're reading, your own reviews, stuff like that, and you can. It's basically a community for Star Wars fans that use this app that love canon material, love Star Wars, that really just want to talk about their experiences with the new canon and stuff like that. Now, I will say this, and when this app goes live, I will monitor the crap out of this. And if anybody is, posting spoilers or, being just being a dick, you're going to get banned from it. And I'm not even sorry about it. And with the way the world is nowadays, I'm not even sorry about it. So when this goes live, keep this clean. Like it's something that I really want to build a really good community of Star Wars fans. So that's basically what that's going to be. On the Purchase Canon page, I keep saying this. People keep saying, we can buy Canon stuff from you. No, you can't buy Canon stuff from me. You can buy Canon stuff through the mobile app. So basically what this is you purchase Canon, you click Purchase Canon, and, like I said, it's not completely finished yet. But let's say you want to purchase A New Dawn, the novel A New Dawn. Okay, so you go to novels, and here I've got all of the novels listed in alphabetical order that are canon. They're all here, all of them. So far, there's a couple I still have to update, but they're all here in alphabetical order. And if you want A New Dawn, you go down to where you find A New Dawn, you click on it, and it's going to bring you to this page where it's got a nice picture of the cover, author, original release date, the publisher that it came from, and then it's going to have this is basically the text from inside the cover, the dust cover of the novel, telling you what the novel's about, everything like that. But then you come down here and there's different links for different ones, because some of them are available in some formats that aren't available in others. So like for A New Dawn, you can click on hardcover. These are links here. You can click on hardcover. It'll take you to a website where you can purchase online the hardback edition of the book, have it shipped straight to your house. Same thing with paperback. Audible and ebook are a little bit different. Audible will take you straight to the website where you can download the audio version of the book directly to your phone so you can listen to it there. Ebook will it'll take you to the site where you can download the actual ebook so you can read it on your phone or your mobile device or whatever you have the mobile app on. So that's kind of what it's going to look like for the novels. And like I said, it goes through, let me get rid of this real quick. I don't know if you guys see it. But like I said, it's for all the novels that are out. Let's say you want Phasma. You click on Phasma, and it's the same thing. It's got the cover for Phasma and then what the book is about. But see, down here, I've added another option on here, B&N exclusive. Personally, this is just my personal preference. I put it on there in case you guys wanted, we're after the same kind of thing. I prefer to get the Barnes & Noble editions of the hardback novels. They usually have cool little posters in them, stuff like that. So I bought a membership to Barnes & Noble, excuse me, just so I could get the discount on the books. So when you click on B&N exclusive, it will take you to a page where you can get the Barnes & Noble exclusive of the novel. So that's kind of what the novel pages look like, right? And like I said, it's for all of these. I think I've got all the novels done, actually, all the way down to Thrawn Treason. I got them all done. So the novels are all in here so far. Excuse me. Sorry, I've got this drainage thing going on. So now let's say you want to get a comic book, right? This is where the bulk of my work is at right now because it's so tedious. There's so many issues of comics. So the comics need an explanation in and of themselves because of the way they're laid out. These are broken down by title and volume. So let me find one here that makes sense. I mean, that would have a lot of volumes to it. Okay, so we'll go to the second Vader run here. This is the Darth Vader Dark Lord of the Sith run. This was the second Darth Vader run that ran. They only did 5 volumes of it, and it was 25 issues. But each volume is broken down by issues as well. Like I said, I don't have all the icons done just yet. But let's say you want issue 3, right, of Darth Vader. So you go to volume 1, and here I've got each individual issue. So you click on issue number 3, and you've got the cover art and the writer, the original release date, publisher, a little bit about what that issue is about, and where you can get the digital comic. Now, this link will take you directly to the Marvel website where you can download the digital version of this comic to your phone. I do want to, and you see on there it says print wherever comics are sold. I want to eventually add links for all of these to where you could order paper, I don't want to say hardback, but paper edition, hard copies of these comics and have them shipped straight to your house. I have a couple of ideas for something like that, and I do have something in the works for it. So that's why but it's not set in stone. That's why it's not on the app just yet. Once that goes through, if it goes through, then I'll go back and add those links. But for right now, you'll only be able to order them, get the comics digitally on here. Now, some of the comics, and it sucks because I know the first Vader run had some of them that did it. Let me pull that up for you here. Some of the comics are only available through Marvel Unlimited, which is a service that they provide. It's almost a subscription service where you have access to all these comics that you can possibly want, but they're not available to just download the digital version of it, if you know what I mean. I know some of these have got it. I got to find which one. Maybe it was Vader number 1. Some of these are only available on Marvel Unlimited, which is really, it sucks that they did something like that because that means you have to pay for the subscription to be able to, here we go. I found one. It's digital. I have it marked as Marvel Unlimited. So when you click on that, it'll take you to a page on Marvel where you can subscribe to Marvel Unlimited if you'd like to be able to get the digital issue of this comic. So that's kind of what the comics look like right now. I'm working on the comics right now. I still haven't dropped in the annual issues yet, and I still need to go through and regroup everything as TPBs as well, because with Darth Vader's a good example here. If you go to Volume 1 of Vader, eventually I'm going to have a link on here also where you can just find the TPB for for Volume 1 of those first 6 issues. Or if you want to buy that or download that, you can, and you get all 6 issues in the one. So I'll add links to that as well. For those of you who want the links to the TPBs, I'll add those in as well. But I haven't got them in there just yet. And like I said, I haven't done annual issues yet either. But all the comics are in here so far. I think I added Bounty Hunters. Maybe I haven't added Bounty Hunters yet. I haven't. So there's a few pages I still need to make and add them in. But for the most part, they're all in here. Star Wars Adventures is one that I'm working on. There's like 30 some odd issues of that now. Star Wars, this comic right here is why this is taking so long, or has taken so long. The Star Wars run itself is 75 issues, and it's 12 volumes. So if you look at each of these, they're each broken down by their issues as well. They each have all of their comic issues in them. Now, as far as crossover events go, like Screaming Citadel, Vader Down, stuff like that, I have them in here as their respective stories. So like Vader Down, I know Vader Down was a standalone issue. It was Vader Down #1, and then it consisted of Darth Vader #13, Star Wars 13, Vader 14, Star Wars 14, and Vader 15. And because those issues are part of this story arc, they're not in their respective folders of Star Wars and Darth Vader, because they're in this Vader Down run. And you can see here I've got them marked as in what order they go into. I did add a cliff note to like the Star Wars, or here I'll do the Darth Vader one, it's closest. I did add a cliff note at the top of the Vader run that those issues are part of the Vader Down run. So I do have that marked there, and hopefully it doesn't confuse anybody too much. So that's basically what the comics are looking like right now. And like I said, I will add in links eventually for hard copies, but I do have something in the works that I'm really excited about, but I just can't tell you guys about it yet. In case it falls through, I don't want to get anybody's hopes up. Video games I haven't even touched yet, which there's not a lot of video games. That'll be easy. I can have that one done in all of an hour. But films, I've got all the films in here in chronological order, including Clone Wars, Solo, Rogue One. When you click on all of these, let's just click on Phantom Menace as an example here. You've got the poster, release date, director, what it's about, and then there's links where you can buy just the single Blu-ray, the Saga box set, which is now out with episodes 1 through 9, and then Amazon Prime for you if you want to download the digital version. Eventually, if you guys want other links to where you can download the digital from other sites like Vudu or anything like that, once the app is up and running, if you guys want to send me some feedback and let me know that that's what you guys want, let me know. I will definitely add those in for you guys. So that's basically where we're sitting with films, comics, and novels. And television shows, I don't think I've added in at all yet. I've got folders for all of them, but I haven't actually got anything in them yet. So we're trucking right along on that. I'll skip Canon Timeline for right now. I'm going to go to the Star Wars Canon Podcast tab. The Star Wars Canon Podcast tab, when you click on this, you'll have 3 options. You'll have the social media option, which if you click on this, it takes you to links where you can send in a mailbag question, visit the Facebook page, Twitter account, or there's a link for you to go to the Patreon account if you want to support the podcast. The YouTube channel, if you click on this particular tab, it'll have a list of all of the YouTube videos that have been released to date. So if you like the video version of the podcast, I know there's a lot of people that prefer the video version. If you like the video version more than you do just the plain audio, you'll be able to go on here and watch the video version of it. And when I live stream on YouTube, the live stream will be in here as well. So you can live stream everything through the app. But all of the YouTube videos of the Star Wars Canon Podcast, Star Wars Canon Library, are all here. I mean, they're literally all here, all the way back down to day 1, man. August 27th, 2015. So they're all in there. And then also this tab here, the Star Wars Canon Podcast tab, this will be the link for those of you who like to listen to just the audio version of the podcast. Now, I know the podcast is on Apple Podcast, CastBox, Spotify, stuff like that. And if you guys listen there, awesome. But I wanted to make sure to add a link in here to where if you guys download this app, if you wanted to be able to listen to the podcast, it's right here in the palm of your hand. It's so easy to get to. It's right here. It's got every episode of the podcast that I've done back to 2018. So that will be on here as well. So basically what I wanted to do was make this app a one-stop shop for Star Wars canon. And because I wanted to do that, I added in the canon timeline. Before I click on canon timeline, I want to warn you guys ahead of time. I've toyed with the idea of making the app $1, and look, I know everybody wants a free mobile app. I get that. I want a free mobile app that keeps up with all this stuff. I really, really do. And the app itself is going to be free. The app itself will be free to download. You'll have access to everything I've shown you so far on this app for free. The only thing that I'm going to end up putting behind a paywall, and it'll be a 99-cent paywall, $1 paywall, something like that, is the canon timeline itself. I don't want to make money off of Disney coming out with canon material. That's not what I'm trying. I'm not after that. That's a lawsuit waiting to happen, and you guys know it. So what I basically do at the podcast is keep everything in chronological order. And that's the only thing that I'm going to put behind a paywall. That's it. That's the only thing. Everything else, that's not my baby. I just put it all together so you guys know where to find it. This part of it, I actually put together. So the canon timeline itself, I will have, and this could change the way it looks also. Some of you guys' feedback would be great. Let me know what you guys think of this so far. This is what the canon timeline is going to look like at this point. It's color-coded by film, novel, comic, game, short story, and animation. Those are the six main mediums, right? So everything's color-coded, and it's broken down by year. I use the old BBY, ABY dating system. It's broken down by year as well as story arc. Now, if you go through this, we start before 40 BBY, which there's no really good year for Dooku Jedi Lost and A Recipe for Death. So those are kind of just floating before 40 BBY, to be honest, until we get an actual definitive answer of where these take place. Then I'll update it as needed. But you can see here I've got all the comics listed, story arcs, the Star Wars 26 through 30, which actually needs to be under its own story arc, to be honest. But when I'm talking about story arcs, I'll show you what I mean here. Clone Wars is when it really, really takes off, because Clone Wars was not released chronologically at all. It's not on Netflix chronologically. Even my DVD box set, it's not chronological. So Kirsty and I are going back through Clone Wars right now, and there was one arc I had to put in one disc, watch an episode, put in another disc, watch another episode of it, and put in the first disc again to watch the third episode. So it's very, very tedious. It's very hard to keep up with. So for Clone Wars, I wanted to make sure that I broke it down by story arc, like this in the Malevolence arc, which is the first, I shouldn't say the first story, but it's the first story arc in just Clone Wars. It didn't involve just the film either. So Malevolence, it's season 1, episodes 2, 3, and 4, and it's got the title. So if you're watching it on Netflix, or if you're watching it on Disney Plus, or you're watching it on your DVDs or Blu-rays or whatever it is you have Clone Wars on, you know which episodes are in what order. And what story arc it is. Now, some of these story arcs, like I'll give you an example. The first story arc in Clone Wars started with season 2, episode 16 for some reason. That's the first episode in Clone Wars. Then it goes to season 1, episode 16, and then the Clone Wars film that came out. So that is one story arc, the Christophsis story arc. And that's basically its own group right there. So I've gone through all of Clone Wars, and I made all these story arcs: Return to Geonosis, Holocron Heist arc, Attack of the Zilla Beast, Mandalore Part 1, Boba Fett, Mandalore Part 2, all these different story arcs. I've dropped in the Forces of Destiny shorts where they belong, the Star Wars Adventures comics and the Forces of Destiny comics where they belong, because some of those are happening during Clone Wars. And there is a comic that's getting ready to come out from IDW that's going to be Clone Wars centric. So I'll be dropping those issues in here as well, wherever they go. Got the Mortis arc in here, but literally every episode of Clone Wars is in here, broken down by story arc and which episodes it is, not just by title, but by season and episode as well, just so it's easier for you guys to find and to use. I wanted this thing to be completely user friendly. I wanted somebody who I want this app to be set up in a way where if somebody has never seen anything that has to do with Star Wars at all, can sit down with this app and go through this timeline and say, oh, I need this novel. Okay, so we start with this novel. Cool. Go find that novel, buy it, have it shipped to their house, download it on their phone, read it. Cool. What's next? Go to the timeline. That's next. And have access to everything and not have to go hunting online for it anywhere. That's basically what the point of this app is. So this will be the story, or I'm sorry, the timeline, the canon timeline. It all goes down to Revenge of the Sith for Age of Republic. Now, Age of Rebellion would pick up immediately after that, starting with the canon comic, and we go on down. And then, I've even got novels broken down by story arcs as well. The Adventures in Wild Space, which were off and on, off and on, off and on, over and over again as far as were they canon or not, until they officially came out and said, yes, they are canon. So the Adventures in Wild Space novels are all here. It even has the authors' names for you guys, so they're even easier to find. Now, the green short stories, a lot of these are in the Star Wars Insider magazine. The problem with that is I tried to go back and find back issues of those, and I couldn't get a hold of them. There's no way I can find them. And I even tried finding the short stories online, and I was only able to find, I think, 2 of them, and it was Blade Squadron, which is after Return of the Jedi. So a lot of these short stories are going to be in those magazines, and I don't have links to where you can get those. But I wanted to add those short stories in here in case you guys do have Star Wars Insider magazine, and you can go back and find these stories, and they are canon after a certain date, which was kind of bullshit because they came out a year after they made everything canon and was like, oh yeah, just so you know, the last 12 issues, those stories were all canon. It's kind of BS the way they did it, but as far as video games go, they're in here somewhere. They're this weird grape color, but it was really the only other color I could use, and I apologize for that because it's hard to spot it in the timeline. But when you pull this up on your phone, I know it looks really small. I know the font looks really small, and it looks like it's hard to read. When you pull it up on your phone, yes, it's small, but it's not as overlapping. It's like I said, the aspect ratio is a lot different when you actually pull it up on your phone. So it will be a lot easier to read on your phone than it is on here. So, but everything's broken down by year, era, everything, story arc. Now, as far as A New Hope goes, there's so much stuff around A New Hope, actually a lot of the films. There's so much stuff around a lot of the films that I had to make them their own groups, if you would. Like the Solo film. Let me see if I can find where the Solo film was on. Oh, you know what? Oh, there it is. The Solo story arc. I have it basically labeled as Solo story arc, which includes Most Wanted by Ray Carson, Beckett #1, which was a one-shot comic, the Forces of Destiny Triple Cross, which was a Kira, Forces of Destiny, Lando Double or Nothing, the novelization for Solo, the film for Solo, the comic adaptation of Solo, and Han Solo Imperial Cadet issues 1 through 5. I know the Han Solo Imperial Cadet happens during the Solo film. I get that, but it's one of those things where you either have to put it before or after, and I just decided to put it after. It's one of those afterthought things. You go back to it and you're like, oh, okay, that's cool. So that's basically how that's all put together. Same thing for Rogue One. I came back down here and did the Rogue One story arc, which includes Guardians of the Will, Rogue One the novelization, Rogue One the film, and the comic adaptation by Marvel. Same thing for A New Hope from a certain point of view. I put from a certain point of view in there. I know it picks up before A New Hope, but it bridges that gap between Rogue One and A New Hope. The Age of Rebellion Grand Moff Tarkin comic happens during A New Hope, so I wanted to throw that in there as well. And then the novelization, which is The Princess Scoundrel and the Farm Boy, and then the film itself. So it's broken down as well as best as I could do with what I had to work with. The Screaming Citadel story arcs are in here. Same thing with Empire Strikes Back. And I mean on all the other films. Now, Aftermath story arc, these 2 short stories were in Star Wars Insider. So I hate to say it this way, but good luck finding them. But anyway, that's kind of the way that it's going to be laid out. The Mandalorian season 1 story arc, and then I'll add season 2 in here, obviously, as we go. Now, because there's so much on this timeline, I like how people sit down and say there's not a lot in the new canon, because you guys are seeing how long it takes for me to scroll through this thing. There is a lot in the new canon, and they're adding to it exponentially every year. So my goal is to keep this app updated weekly. I want to update the app. I want to do the app on Thursday nights because the new comics come out on Wednesday. Novels usually come out on Tuesdays, and comics usually come out on Wednesdays. But I may change that actually because some of the Disney Plus shows air on Friday night. So I may just update the app on Friday nights, and then we'll do the podcast on Saturday, and that'll be, we'll be talking about everything that was added to the timeline. So that's basically where we're sitting with the mobile app as of now. I'm really excited to show it to you guys finally. I can't wait for this thing to come out. And like I said, like I said during the podcast, I wanted to show you guys what it was looking like because I've been talking about it for so long, and a lot of people haven't seen anything of it at all, except the patrons. They had a link for a while back. They could go and kind of look at it and play with it. And a lot of people have been asking me after not last night's or not 2 nights episode of the podcast, but the week before. I had a lot of people asking me, do I know what month the app is coming out? As of right now, I have no idea when this thing's coming out. I can't give you an exact date. My wheat harvest for my day job is coming up, and I'm usually MIA for June, July, and August. And I'm very busy during those 3 months because of my day job. If this app is not released before my wheat harvest, if it's not released, it will be released in September when the podcast comes back. I usually try to come back with the podcast in September, and then we run through the rest of the year with it. But that also gives me a chance to sit down and whenever I'm doing an episode of the podcast, update the mobile app. So during my wheat harvest time, I will do my best to keep that up to date as well, because I know there's still going to be comics coming out every week and whatnot, and it doesn't take long to sit down and put it all together. But if you guys have any ideas for the app or anything you'd like to see added to it, I thought about doing an upcoming canon tab to it, and stuff that's stories on stuff that's coming out here before long, so you kind of have an idea of what to look forward to. I thought about doing something like that, but if you guys have any ideas to add to this thing, let me know, man. I would absolutely love your guys' input on this thing, good or bad. Let me know. I don't want to release a piece of crap app that you guys aren't going to like, so you're not going to hurt my feelings at all. Let me know what you guys think of it, and if like I said, if you guys want to add anything to it. So I wanted to show that to you. I'm glad I finally got to show it to you. And I'm very very excited about this thing, and I can't wait for it to come out. I can't wait for you guys to get your hands on it. So guys, that's really it. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Keep an eye out for next week's episode of the podcast. I am going to be able to do one next week. I don't have a lot going on at work right at this particular moment, so I will have an episode of the podcast coming out on Saturday night. We'll be going live again on 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. So, guys, that'll do it. Until next time, this is Brian signing off, and may the Force be with you.